Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Magazine. My name is Ruth, and I'm a writer for Black Girls Magazine.
My name is Kosi, and I'm also a writer for Black Girls Magazine.
Today, we are speaking to my sister, Naomi McDonald, who is not only a writer for Teens Black Girls Magazine, but in July, Naomi released her first book titled Midnight Warriors: The Last Breath.
Welcome, Naomi, and a big congratulations on publishing your first book at such a young age.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this interview.
So, my first question to you is, what is Midnight Warriors about?
All right, so this is the book, hardcover and paperback. So a bit about it. The main character is Jamal Muriuki, and his siblings are Jaden and Naya. And with every chapter that happens, each chapter is a different perspective from one of the siblings, and occasionally there's also a bonus character's perspective as well. And it all starts off with this really strange letter. And once the siblings realize that the Kenyan legends and myths are true, everything turns upside down. And soon the siblings find themselves on opposite sides of the war. With clashing viewpoints and no guidance except a vague prophecy, it leads them to do whatever it takes to get five of the kingdom's finest gems, represented, you can see also here on the book cover, for each different kingdom. And the story is about vengeance, double crossing, deception, trust, and family.
That sounds like a very interesting book.
Thank
Our
you so
next question for you is about your character creating process. Many authors take inspiration for their stories from things in their lives. For example, they could base a character on someone they know. Are any of your characters based on someone you know, or just other characters from books, movies, or TV shows?
Um, Thank you for your question. For the characters, like I out of my book, like certain like elements or like brief encounters I may have had that may have been reflected in it, or even like personality traits and stuff like that. It's not like a specific person, but for example, um, um, yeah, for example, just like personalities from maybe some of my friends that I thought would be really interesting for a certain character. Or so there's three siblings, for example. So Jaden, Naya, and Jamal, and there's a younger brother. But I don't actually have a younger brother, but I have like a younger sibling. And then I also have an older sibling as well. Well, I have two, but I decided to do one. So it's not like it's not exactly the same, but just like traits. Like for example, ticker torture is once a term I used in this book, and it's something me and my siblings do. Like, just yeah, it's like hints of my life, I guess, snippets every now and
Wow, that's really cool.
then.
So, what would you say is your chosen genre for Midnight Warriors, and why did you choose to write in this genre? As well, how do you see your work contributing to Black literature and storytelling?
All right. Thank you for your questions. So, for the first one, so it's a fictional book, of course, and it is adventure filled, it's action packed, but it also revolves around Afro fantasy as well. And with the myths and legends becoming true. And these myths and legends are like specific to my book. So, but they're like Kenyan myths and legends specific to my book. Yes. And also, oftentimes in like, so my main characters are three successful Kenyan Black youth, but oftentimes in Black narratives, for example, it's this ghetto life, gang banging, welfare, struggling single mothers, uneducated, maybe poorly spoken, but that's not all that doesn't oftentimes I see those types of book with black when black characters the main character, but that does not reflect the black community as a whole. So I want to have more representation for like just regular black youth that are educated, have high aspirations to be successful, but those narratives don't always have to be like, the ghetto like storyline. So I wanted mine to be successful around Afro futurism and fantasy. And there's also this I'm trying to remember this a really iconic Afrofuturism author named I actually have Minister Faust, one of his books that were really inspirational and got me into wanting to inspire to do Afro fantasy.
It's great that you got inspiration from another book like that. As a writer, um, I know that when working on stories, it is easy to become stuck and not to know what to write next. Do you have any of these moments when writing The Midnight Warriors? And if so, what strategies did you use to overcome them?
Thank you for your question. Um, challenge like writer's block. I know it's really common. Just gonna think about that for a second. Okay, so like a challenge I had when writing my book, it wasn't necessarily like writing and then having writer's block, but a challenge was like planning everything out because at the beginning when you're writing, like so many ideas just flow. Like when I'm writing a chapter, for example, I'd have so many ideas, and because each chapter is a different character's perspective, if if it's not planned out, then everything can kind of go messy. Like I knew the destination I wanted, but actually getting my characters there, all three of them, kind of felt difficult at first. So how I counteracted that challenge was I have this organizer that shows, like for example, the five kingdoms, which represent all have five different gems, and I'd have notes about like a loose outline of the individual journeys I want my characters to have. But it wasn't like rigid because sometimes, like I was saying, like when you're writing, you start to get more ideas. But it was just like an outline. So if ever I would have writer's block and like what I go next, instead of then I'd still have something to go off of, like a guideline. Then I'm like, okay, now I need to get this destination from here to here, different kingdoms, just to help a guideline.
Wow. So organization is the key.
For sure.
What or who were your biggest influences whilst you were making Midnight Warriors? Writing Midnight.
All right. Thank you for your question. Great question. It's got to be my parents or our parents right there. Mom has always encouraged me to always have a tool in my back pocket. Like I want to go into medicine, be a cardiac surgeon, but like having a hobby that you can still make income is often it's a great hobby to have. So for me, that was writing or even playing the steel pan, playing the harp. Just having a side hobby that you can also make income too is a good business strategy. Even though it's like writing, like I still want to do like I want to make a trilogy, but that's not going to be like my main job per se because I want to be a cardiac surgeon, right? And then also, my dad has always encouraged me to write stories, and he taught me like the fundamentals of English, how to be engaging with my audience and he also taught me that like oftentimes like when I was young, for example, there'd be so many great books that I'd be reading, and my dad taught me that instead of being the consumer, I could be the writer. Like I could be the one selling, and that's selling my books. And then I strive towards that, and great opportunity. And also, oh yeah, also gotta thank my dad too. He's the one who taught me to draw too, and another good hobby to have. And I'm the one who illustrated the cover, and he taught me so many different techniques of drawing, and just all of these skills can like contributed from my parents into my book.
My next question is actually about the cover of your book. Covers are crucial for books and are often what catches the eye of the reader that's looking at it, but they also in themselves tell the story. How did you decide what to put on your cover? And did you have any trouble like deciding what to include?
For sure. At the beginning, I had so many different ideas because there's so many like iconic big scenes happening. But for example, I wasn't sure, do I put all three of the siblings on the cover, or would that be too crowded per se? And then after like experimenting with just outlining how everything's gonna work, I had like multiple drafts. And then the reason I stuck towards this one because it's more central on so this character is the hooded man, and he well depending what perspective you're on, which character you resonate most, maybe you think he's Uh, he is really ambitious, and maybe you think he's actually doing the right thing, or maybe you think he's a tyrant. But that's the main antagonist. And also, as you can see, like in the background, for example, it's really far out, and that just represents that he'll do whatever it takes to conquer. Like it doesn't matter how far he'll go, but he'll do what he has to do to get power, and it just shows that. And also, it captures like the midnight theme, as you can see, like with the moon, because at midnight, the Midnight Warriors, exactly that 1 minute, have a huge amount of power, which makes can make you question like what happens if 12 o'clock, if midnight, that 1 minute was forever, and it can leave the reader in suspense. Also, over here, you can see symbol of a panther, which is the his kingdom, the hooded man's like symbol in like the crest over here for Midnight Warriors, and it shows each of the five kingdoms: water, earth, ice, time, and magic, and of course the power of midnight, which is central to my book. And also, in the very back, you can see a faint figure, a faint like face of a woman over here. And I made it faint in the distance because she's really a mystery. She vanishes, but has a very important role to this story. And I thought it'd be really important, and like a little hint of like, who is this figure? Like it's really faint, and what is her role? And she has a deep connection with Mother Africa, and in this novel. So that's a bit about my cover. Thank you.
Wow. So, other than you're a great writer, what is something you learned about yourself through writing Midnight Warriors?
That's a good question. Thank you. Um, it was quite the journey. A lot of stuff I learned. What I learned about myself. So I guess I learned like especially like as a youth, as a kid, you see all of these amazing chapter books, and oftentimes you don't think that you think of when you think of an author, oftentimes you think of an adult, for example. Like there's my favorite series, like 99% of them come from these adults. So as a kid, it's like hard to picture yourself as an author, like actually wanting to write a book. So what I learned is that with lots of motivation and passion, that you can do anything you set your mind to. And it's easy to look at others and be like, "Whoa, what you're doing is so cool." But once you take the time and be like, once you like take that time and be like, "This could be me if I put the time and dedication. Anything is possible." Because yeah, and you've got to get up and keep trying because either when you're writing, you can, or if you're thinking of writing a book, for example, you can either like not try at all, which is an automatic failure. You can try, maybe make some mistakes along the way and learn from your so-called failures, which is building you up, or you can succeed. And I'd always, if you want to write a book, like so many people told me after I published it, I was starting on writing a book, but I don't know, I never finished it. But like, keep going. Like, even if you have writer's block, like make that organizer a planner, like I did, or yeah, just never give up. Yeah, and you can do it even if you're a kid. Because like I started my very first prologue, so the first page I've ever written was in grade 6, for example. But at that time, I didn't know it was going to be in a book. But you can do anything you set your mind. You're on mute.
Sorry, that's a great realization. Another question we have for you is, if you were trying to convince someone to read your book, what would you say to persuade them that The Midnight Warriors is a page turner?
Okay. Um, I guess I start off by first of all, I'd show them the blurb because the blurb I think is a really important part of the book because that's the part of the book that like if you like handed it to whoever you're trying to sell your book to, for example, it can really hook you in. So for me, I try to do like like an introduction, like of very interesting like key parts that can get the reader attached. For example, introducing we're yeah, like introducing that there is betrayal, for example, and that is a key central part of my book. And even the king just finest gents, and trying to add stuff in your blurb from your book that's like unique to your book, you know, and just new ideas because people like they like new content, but also with semi-familiar themes. For example, vengeance, betrayal. But yeah, so I was trying to hook them in. I had also, yeah, I tell them how the betrayal and how the legends and myths become true, like real. And if they can see themselves in those shoes, they could be like, whoa, this is like gonna be quite the journey. Also located in Kenya. Um, yeah, the prophecies as well was the central part to my book, and it's quite a page turner.
Wow, you definitely persuaded me. That book is a page turner. So, what advice would you give to other girls like you who would like to create a book?
All right. Um, Honestly, just never give up. Like if you want to write a book, don't like oftentimes people like they have the idea, they may start, but because they don't see that representation, because they don't often see young authors, then it's easier to give up. It's easier to be like, can I really be an author, right? But yes, you can. Like, don't give up. Um, yeah, because oftentimes, um, yeah, just keep trying. And oftentimes, like young authors struggle with writing block, as you were saying before, emphasizing having that organizer to keep you to have a steady like layout for how you're gonna go, and you can be creative as well. And you also can make your own cover as well, because oftentimes on books you see an author then different cover, but you can also, if you like art and you like writing, you can combine those talents together. And this advice like doesn't just apply to writing and literature, but literally anything you do. If you're doing sports, if you're doing music, you're doing robotics, doing STEM, just always have that determination and never give up. Don't let anyone tell you you're too young to reach for the stars.
That's great advice. Lastly, we would like to ask you where we can find your book, and should we expect more publications in the future?
All right. So you can buy my book on Amazon. I have this little shirt and it shows available on Amazon. Yes. Um, and sorry, what was the second part to your question?
We would like to know, should we expect more publications from you in the future?
I'm hoping to make a trilogy. So this first one is Midnight Warriors: The Last Breath, and I'm hoping I started planning already for my second book, like little thoughts every now and then, trying to add onto it. And also, my Insta is Naomi underscore MCD. So Naomi underscore MCD. We can find me there. I'm hoping to do a book launch at the city of Brampton. Also, um, yeah, City of Brampton. So if you ever want me to like do an excerpt, for example, or any updates, you can contact me there as well. Thank you.
That was one wonderful interview with Naomi McDonald about her first and newly released book, The Midnight Warriors: The Last Breath.
Thank you so
Be
much.
sure to purchase a copy on Amazon or ask your local library to add it to their collection. Thank you so much, Naomi, for sharing your written journey with us, your writing journey with us. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Also, before you guys go, I also wanted to. I just thought of something whilst through our interview, through our advice that I was giving out, that I was saying at the beginning to add on to why it's important to always have like passion behind your work, because I realized just like to add on to my like story of why I actually wanted to do writing in the first place, even though I'm a youth. So like I've always loved reading, and my dad has always encouraged me to write, you know. Always have another tool in your back pocket, another tool that you can do. And actually, that led to me joining Black Girls Magazine. So I do really recommend if you're a Black girl who loves literature and to join Black Girls Magazine. It was a great experience for me. And this is where, in one of the writing workshops in grade six, this is where I wrote my prologue. Wrote the prologue to like the first page, and this really sparked my interest in literature. But at that time, like I got a lot of positive feedback, and I was writing, and I remember like it was a short story, and I just had so many ideas. So I decided I potentially maybe I was gonna save it for a book in the future, or I wasn't really sure at that point in time yet. And then fast forward to the summer between grade six to grade seven, I was diagnosed with papilledema, which is idiopathic pressure on the optical nerves and led to constant headaches. And I remember when my doctor like told my parents that he doesn't know how I'm alive and that I was like this close to going blind. And just after, because of all like the pressure on my optical nerves, and after like hearing that, just those words, like, almost going blind, it made me think like I may not ever be able to read again. And after things were clearing up, and after I survived, thank God, I was told to like come off of the screen, and I wouldn't be able to be reading as much because the small font sizes could induce like headaches. So I actually started writing out my chapter because I was so determined at that point, knowing that I went from almost not being able to read again to being able to being able to read after the spinal taps and that the pressure was released. And I got a shout out to my siblings, got a shout out to Ruth, and got a shout out to Daniel as well, because they're the ones after I was writing it out on paper, and because I couldn't be on the screen, I gave them what I wrote, and they would type it up to me. And it took hours because I spent lots of time during those moments writing and writing. You can ask Ruth. She spent lots of time typing it up. So I'm just so grateful. And that really, that whole experience for me was my like passion to start writing. And because once you have like you have an idea or a skill or a talent, like don't let it go to waste. Like try, just do your like have that passion to keep going even when it seems hard. And thankfully by grade 10, everything was okay. I didn't have papilledema anymore. And yes, one year later, I got to publish my book, finish editing. So even though I started in grade six, I was going back, adding more to the story. Took at least a year to like, and just throughout those years, lots of editing, making the cover, and all of that. So that's like to wrap up my story of why I became an author. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naomi. We
Thanks,
are
Ruth, for writing it up.
I'm so glad that we had an opportunity to interview you. And I hope your writing journey continues to be a success.
Thank you so much for your time. Those were some great questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.